My first question is, I'm really wondering how you're pulling this off, because this is the first TV show that every episode gets reshot each week to make sure none of our theories are correct. How did you guys pull that off?
I'm sorry. The single tear down every fan's cheek. I know. Aerospace engineers and the like. Listen, we certainly, I have been so taken by the passionate interest in the show. And I love the memes that have been created, the TikTok videos, the theories. I mean, my gosh, the people making these theories are more creative than I am. So thank you. There's a lot of wonderful response to it. And for those who get a little bit disappointed week to week, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
No. If you were falling into all those theories, I think that would be the disappointment. What you guys are doing is delivering something surprising every week. So hats off to you. But I don't know. Of all the wild theories that people like me and everyone else, all the fans online have come up with, do you have a favorite? Has there been one that's like, oh, that's a pretty good one. That's a fun one.
No, I mean, certainly the amount of passion around the aerospace engineer certainly was one that was pretty great. I mean, sure, would have been great if Reed Richards had showed up with that rover. That would have been pretty great.
That would have been wild. But it's been a fun ride. But also, I mean, it's been fun, but it's also been heavy. It's been really, I mean, in a refreshing way. Like, I'm not even a way I don't expect from superheroes sometimes, especially last week in episode 8, Wanda's trauma, the showcase of what she has been through and how she has compartmentalized that and suppressed that, and what it has led to for her was amazing, from the writing, the directing, the performance. I am curious, did you guys do any kind of research on people dealing with trauma, or was there any specific kind of message you wanted to send in that episode about things that people do go through?
Yes, I mean, Wanda's trauma is what the show is all about, and it was so hard to talk about press early on when we were just talking about sitcom episodes, but it's the through line for the whole show. And it's, I think, something that we all have experience with. And this year, more than ever, as we, mourn over 500,000 people having died just in this country alone in a pandemic. So I think it has extra resonance now, strangely. But this show is about, how do you grieve? How do you come back from loss? Can you come back from loss? She's lost everything. She's lost her parents. She's lost her brother. She's lost the love of her life. And it's from that grief that it unlocks a new power in her that she didn't even know she had, right? And so then when you go back, hopefully, and you look at the explorations of sitcom that we were doing, that it wasn't just wackiness for wackiness sake, that this was where she was taking solace and where she was building the life that she wished she had had.
Yeah, those early episodes hit different now. The line from Vision in episode 8 was just such an amazing line. It's like, I almost feel like I can't believe I haven't heard that before, because it is so deep and profound. But it was such an original line about, but what is grief if not love persevering? Where did that line come from?
From the amazing Laura Donnie's head, from the writer of that episode. Jack Schaefer is a genius writer. Everyone she hired to work on that team was incredible. And each of them brought a different perspective. And I think Laura's episode, that we previously on, which we just had, is a beautiful meditation on loss. And it includes a line that's gorgeous. And I think it follows in a tradition for Vision, which is that even though he's not human, he's almost more human than we are. And, something isn't beautiful just because it lasts. I mean, he's had some of the best lines in the MCU about humanity. And that's just yet another one. And there might be some more in the future before this.
Oh, there we go. That line's going to be tattooed on everybody by the end of next week, I'm sure.
No.
Maybe me. I don't know. But I do have a question about we've seen different versions of magic. Agatha's magic is purple. Wanda's magic is red, scarlet, red. Evanora's magic was blue. I mean, and outside of this, Doctor Strange has orange. And I am just curious, does the color of the magic, how did you make the decision on those? And does the fact that they're kind of reflecting the colors of Infinity Stones have anything to do with it, or is that a coincidence?
Well, certainly Wanda's power, as we can say, was enhanced by her experience with the Infinity Stone, which we saw in the last episode. In terms of color differentiation, I think it's important, because when you're trying to describe what's happening, especially with Agatha in Salem, Massachusetts, you want to be able to see her purple magic eat away at that blue magic, right? Because that's what she does. She absorbs power. She's taking the magic from other witches. It's just why they look so, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade at the end of that scene, because she's literally sucked all of their sort of magic and life from them. So for us, in terms of color coding for that scene, that was one of the biggest reasons why it's like that. And of course, Wanda's magic has been established, but we're evolving it and changing it, as we go.
It looks really, I mean, it's the new age lightsaber fight. It looks awesome. I haven't talked to you since Evan Peters showed up on the show. And that was such a cool surprise. I feel like you guys had to have put in an extra effort to preserve that secret. So I'd like to hear both, where did the decision to bring Evan in as Pietro, or Fietro, as Agatha calls him, come from? And did you have to take, what extra steps to keep that secret did you take?
We took every step possible, and apparently not enough steps, because it did leak out there, and that was a shame, because you're always trying to keep things quiet as long as you can, and somehow they kept Luke Skywalker a secret, but we couldn't keep him a secret, which is a real bummer. But we thought he is the best, and he put up with all sorts of being smuggled in capes and hidden in vans and all that sort of stuff to try to preserve the illusion. But yeah, that came fairly early in the development of the show. This question of who would be at that door. And grief does a lot to a person, in terms of what they're willing to accept. And yes, Agatha lets you know that she was pulling the strings on that, trying to get a little more information.
So, I mean, is that a multiverse nod? Is it just a coincidence he played this same character on a different franchise?
We'll have to meet again some Monday in the future.
I have to ask these things, though. I'll lose my job if I don't. So, I respect it. I respect it. And of course, we have one episode left. A lot of questions remaining in this. So much momentum going into the last episode. We're set for a Vision versus Vision, maybe Agatha versus Wanda. I don't know. Maybe they all become friends and just have a picnic, but I don't think that's going to happen. And a lot of emotion. I mean, what can you tease about this last episode we're going to get this week?
Well, I certainly hope that people find it to be a satisfying conclusion. We definitely have known the story that we want to tell from the beginning. So that sense of building towards a final moment that made sense for us from the beginning is there. So I hope people find it both surprising but inevitable. The idea, I hate stories that pivot, 180 at the last minute, and you're like, what have I been watching this whole time? Agatha Christie novels where the murderer is someone you just met, pops in, you're like, come on, why did I read this whole thing? Hopefully it all feels that it's been building momentum and snowballing towards the end. It is continuing to deal with how do you deal with grief and loss and come back from that. And then, we've introduced some new players on the table as well, or revealed aspects of certain players on the table. So you now have two Visions on the chessboard, and what does that mean? Who's the real Vision?
Do you know the runtime of the episode? Can you share it?
I can't remember the exact runtime of it. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I do have one quick thing. The baby Vision photos, are those Paul Bettany's baby photos photoshopped as Vision?
No, Scott McFate, who is one of our VFX coordinators on the show, is an amazing guy who actually looks a little bit like Paul. And when we were struggling to find baby pictures, because Paul didn't have any ones that would work, we were trying to get stock photos or whatever. And Scott was like, I have a few. And he sent these amazing photos. And then when I sent them through for temp VFX, as we were starting just to kind of do a rough version of what they would look like, oh my God, they came back and I couldn't stop laughing. It was my favorite thing.
I love it, man. Well, it's such a pleasure to speak with you. I hope I get to talk with you once we see how it all plays out. Congratulations on a fantastic, amazing series.
Oh, thank you very much. For sure. All right. Thanks, Brandon.